All right, home buyers, let's buy some homes. So, and I know you're sick and tired of paying sky high rent, like $1,700, $2,000 for a one bedroom apartment. Yeah, I know. And some of you are like, that's all? Well, everybody doesn't live in New York and LA and Miami. You know, this video is for everybody. Because if you're living in those places, your rent might be 2,000, 2,500, 3,000 for a one bedroom, which is crazy. The market dictates those crazy prices. And, just to succumb to those prices and just keep paying it, that's crazy too. But you have to live somewhere. And that's the beauty of real estate. Uh, you have to do one or the other. You're going to either rent or you're going to buy, or you're going to have to move back in with your mom and them and live in the in your room that you grew up in. Hey, you have to do what you have to do. But this video is about starting the process of buying a piece of real estate and get out of that apartment. And there are 9 simple steps to buying a piece of property. 9 simple steps. We talk about this. Well, we talked about this before, and I'm going to break these 9 steps down. But hold on for 1 second. Yeah. Okay. So these 9 simple steps. What are these 9 simple steps? Well, let's make it simple. Uh, well, the first step is what you're doing right now. Is you're digging into the mindset of wanting to get out of an apartment and get into a house. That's the mindset step. You have to realize that, hey, I don't have to live like this for the rest of my life, living right next to people. And I don't have privacy. I can't turn my stereo up loud. I can't do things that people do in a house. I can't have a house party because you're not in a house. You're in an apartment. You can't barbecue in your backyard because you don't have a backyard. So those are the things, or just a few things that you can't do in an apartment that you can do in a house. Well, and it's the mindset. You have to realize, hey, can I do this? Yes, you can. If you have a job, good paying job, you're bringing in about $4,000, $5,000 a month income. Yes, you can do it. I mean, you're not going to be living in a $700,000 house. Just go after the $300,000 house, 350, and it all depends on the city that you're living in. I always talk about, well, you can't live in the inner city in the high market areas and expect to get a $300,000 house. It's just not going to happen. Just not going to happen. You're going to have to live on the outskirts where the houses are cheaper. And then you're going to have to commute to get to work. Yeah. It is what it is. Or if you just happen to be lucky and live in a country town or a smaller city, those type of cities where it's like 80,000 in the city, 40, 50, 60,000 people in the city. Those cities are the best. Because right now I have a sister, she lives in a small military town. And she's telling me all the time, these houses are going for cheap. Like $300,000 houses that look like little baby mansions. It's like, wow. They're living it up in those little cities like that. But the problem is there are no jobs in the little cities. They have to commute to the bigger city for work. That's the problem. So you have to, if you want to live it up, you're gonna have to give up something. So would you want to live in a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom house with like 3 acres in your backyard, well, half an acre in your front yard, lots of space? I mean, pool, privacy fence, all kind of stuff. I mean, you can shout to the top of your lungs and nobody hear you. Would you want a house like that? But the problem is, if you want a house like that, you're gonna have to commute. It's gonna take you 45 minutes to an hour to get to work every day, one way. So yeah, so you have to give a little to get something. But that's the mindset stage right there, step one, and you're in it right now. So yeah, let's move on to step two. Step two is the pre-qualification stage. What does pre-qualification mean? Well, once you know that you're ready to buy a house, you need to have an idea in your head what you can afford. How much do you need to have as far as income to buy a house? And what's the price value of the house that you can afford? Can you afford a $200,000 house, $300,000 house, 400, 500, $1 million house? How much can you afford? So you have to pre-qualify to see how much you can afford. And how do you do that? Well, there are tons of websites that you can go to just to see what you can and cannot qualify for. And it's totally free. And it's a simple process. You just fill out a form on their website. Like you go to a bank website, say like Wells Fargo or Bank of America or Credit Union and things like that, sites like that. Or you can go to lender sites that specialize in creating mortgages and just fill out the form. It's totally free. They're going to ask you some questions, some personal questions. They're not going to dig too deep into your personal life, but just basic stuff. What is your income annually? How much do you make a year? Things like that. Your bills. How much do you pay in bills per month? Things like that. Just simple stuff. And the questionnaire might be maybe 5 or 6 questions at the most. It all depends. And it's going to spit out a report telling you basically how much you can afford. And that's kind of exciting. It's like you put your information in and it says, well, currently, sir, ma'am, you qualify for a $450,000 house according to your income and how much you make. And that should get you excited. I mean, that's I mean, just just for somebody to say that. Somebody just drove by on a bicycle. Talking about hello. Just for somebody to say that on a website and you get that information back to you, it's like, wow. So what is your next step after that? Well, the next step after that is to get pre-approved. That's step 3. So step 3, now it's getting real now. Okay, you're moving along and you're going to step 3, getting pre-approved. And what does pre-approval mean? Okay, you're getting that pre-qualification information and you're making it legit now. You're making it official. You're actually gathering all your personal finances, all your information, and you're taking that information and you're actually going down to the bank, or you're knocking on the door, open up the door, and you're sitting down in front of somebody with all your papers, a lender, a banker, mortgage broker, whichever one you choose, and they're gonna ask you tons of questions, and you're gonna have to fill out all that information. And one of the main things they're gonna ask you is, what's your social security number? Because now they have to dig deep into your personal life to see if you are worthy of receiving a mortgage loan. Not just a loan, but a mortgage loan. Mortgage loan is associated with real estate. When you buy a piece of property, a mortgage loan is attached to it. That secures the loan, the house, the mortgage, And I don't want to dig too deep into the definition of all that stuff, but that's what it's called, a mortgage loan. Uh, but yeah, they're gonna ask you tons of questions to get you pre-approved. And I mean, like I said, the main thing is that Social Security number. They're gonna dig deep into your personal life to see if you qualify for real this time. And now, this is a nervous time, just very exciting time. But once you get past this stage, and they say, okay, you've been pre-approved for $350,000, you yourself, you and your spouse, say you're all doing it together. This is an exciting time in the process of buying a piece of property. So the pre-approval stage is very important. And once you get that pre-approval, you'll probably get a letter, and you can take that letter. And it's like showing you, this is my proof that I can buy a piece of property. This is how much I'm approved for. So, Mr. Real Estate Agent, that dude flying, but he's zipping through the park like, yeah, that's the dude that said hello. Yeah, but I digress. Yeah. So once you get that pre-approval and you get that letter, and now it's time to take it to the next level, which is step 4. Step 4 is the house buying criteria step. Okay, now you know how much you can afford. So now you need to put down on paper what you're actually looking for. You're looking to buy a condo, you're looking to buy a townhouse, you're looking to buy a house, you're looking to buy a trailer, I mean, whatever. You're looking to buy a shed. You need to write all the stuff down, all the particulars, all the details. Do you want to, are you by yourself? Are you single? You're a couple? Do you have a family? You have children? You have a dog? You have to think about all that kind of stuff. Because you can get into a starter home, say like a small 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath, just to get into the real estate game, just to say, hey, I'm a homeowner now. Or you can jump out there, get you a 3, 4, 5-bedroom house and live in it by yourself and ball out. And you want lots of acreage and space in your backyard and front yard. You want a privacy fence. Do you want a pool? Do you want a shed in the backyard? Do you want this? You want that? You want one floor? You want a split level? And that's 2-story. You want a basement? Do you want a screened-in back porch? Do you want a deck? Do you want this? Yeah. I know you look at all this. Look at this. I'm walking to the park getting some fresh air, and these trees have been ripped from their stem due to a hurricane that came through a couple weeks ago. And yeah, they haven't cut these broken limbs down yet, but it looks crazy out here. But yeah, you need to get all that information down. So if you don't do that, then you're just kind of spitting in the wind. Because think about it, you're looking to buy a house. What's the first thing you're gonna do? You're gonna start searching for houses that fit your criteria. So doesn't it make sense to put your criteria together before you go looking for a house? All right. What's the next step? The next step is once you get your criteria down, then you need to hire an agent, a real estate agent. What is a real estate agent? A real estate agent is somebody who can help you buy a house. Help you actually, the technical term, the exact term, is a professional that can help you find a house. Yes, that's what real estate agents do. They help you find a house. Yeah, sure. You can do it on your own. You can go to websites like for buyer owners and for sale by owners and all that kind of stuff. People selling their own house. I mean, you can go that route. You can do that if you don't want to spend the extra money working with a real estate agent. You want to save money on commission and things like that. You can go that route doing it yourself. But it's the old saying, you get what you pay for. Well, when you go at it alone, you realize, wait a minute, this is not as easy as I thought it was. Or maybe it is as easy as you thought it was. But the problem is, what most people don't realize, who don't want to work with a real estate agent, is the paperwork. You can get ripped off if you don't know what you're doing, because there are a lot of terms, a lot of words in these real estate contracts. Oh yeah, and by the way, the contracts. What contracts do you use? Are you using the right contracts? And the steps and the processes to get stuff filed properly and things like that. And once you get the paperwork done, what do you do with the paperwork? It's not like you're selling something on eBay or something like that. You're buying a house. There's a deed involved. What is the deed? Deed is the physical proof of ownership of the property. And it's recorded down at the courthouse. And it has to have your full name on it, not abbreviations and things like that. Because you can say, my name is Timothy Thomas. And if I file Tim Thomas on the deed, that's not good. Because my legal name is Timothy Thomas. And somebody could go down there and check on the records, and it's showing Tim Thomas. And my legal name is Timothy Thomas. Well, who is Tim Thomas? On paper, I'm not the owner. So who is the owner? This magical Tim Thomas doesn't exist, because I'm walking down there showing my ID, or I'm trying to say if I want to sell the house one day, and my legal name is Timothy Thomas, but on the paper it shows Tim Thomas. Now it looks like I'm trying to commit some kind of fraud or something. But I'll be down there screaming and shouting at the people, hey, what are you doing? This is my house. I lived in it for 10 years. And they're looking at you like, who are you? What are you doing, sir? You're not the owner of the house. Is this some kind of scam you're trying to run? So, well, I'm just saying, those are the things you need to think about when you're buying a house on your own. But I digress. Hiring an agent is step number 5, and that's one of the next steps that you need to jump into when you're buying a house. All right. And what's the next step after that? Well, in each step, don't get it twisted. Don't forget now. It's 9 simple steps, but it's not that simple. Within each step, there are probably 30 steps inside each step. Like after you hire an agent, one of the things is, like I said, during the contract period, or the shopping period when you're looking for a house. And so you find a house from somebody who's selling the house, and y'all agree on the price. You made offers on houses, and you got an agreement on one house. Okay, they're willing to sell at $380,000, and you sign the paper, and y'all agree and everything. Then now it's like a 30-day period right after you sign that agreement. It's called the due diligence period. What is due diligence? Due diligence basically means research. Research on what? Research on who? What is research? Research means digging deep into the property to see if it's going to work for you, if it's going to be a good fit for you. Because what they say, don't judge a book by its cover. Well, this is a classic case of that. Yeah, the seller might have pressure washed the house, painted the house, sprayed air freshener all throughout the house. cut the grass, mowed the lawn, trim the trees, and clean the pool, wash the fence. They made the outside all clean and sparkly. And even on the inside, they might have hired a home cleaner service. They've cleaned up the house. They've done everything to make the house presentable and sellable. And you fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. You got you a good one. But in reality, you got because the seller is hiding stuff that you don't know. They're covering up stuff. They painted the walls. They painted the ceilings, covering up those water stains on the ceilings. They covered it up with paint. Or they have holes in the walls and they put a mirror in front of it. Stuff like that. Termite damage. They're hoping and praying that you don't get a termite inspection to come through and reveal that this house is infested. See? They're hoping and praying that nothing like that happens. And they're hoping you're a knucklehead idiot that won't get an inspection done on this house. They're hoping that you don't get the roof inspected, the electricity inspected, the plumbing inspected. Yeah. This is all about due diligence. And oh yeah, and that's just the physical part of the due diligence period. Just the physical part of looking at the property and getting it inspected. But what about the paperwork? There are a lot of contingencies that could be added to the paperwork, to the contract. Well, there's a contract. Contract is an agreement, a piece of paper that you sign, agreeing that you want to buy the property. It's like a purchase agreement. And then there's contingencies in there. What is a contingency? Contingencies are things that could stall the deal, that could cancel the deal. Like a contingency could be, I reserve the right to back out of this deal if there is evidence of termites. That could be a contingency. And then the seller could be like, well, if you do find termites, let me amend that contingency. Amend means to alter, change. Can I put this amendment in there? If there is evidence of termites, I will pay for a termite treatment done on the house. Will you accept my counter offer? Things like that. That's a contingency. Or if I find that there is a lien on the property that you didn't know about or you did know about, I can back out of the deal. What is a lien? A lien is something that could, once again, cloud the title. It's some technical stuff, man. What is a title? What is cloud? See, that's what I'm talking about. When you try to buy a house on your own and you don't know these terms, you're just putting yourself out there. You don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, you can get burnt. I'm telling you. What is a title? Title is, well, it's like the deed. The deed is the physical evidence of ownership. Title is like an abstract evidence of ownership. It's kind of like, it's like you can look it up online. That's kind of like the title. You can just look it up online in so many words. I won't get too detailed and technical. Deed is the physical proof of evidence. Title is like, you can just look it up online. And then the title shows a lot of things. Like it could be liens, such as like say the homeowner, they did some construction work on the house 10 years ago, and they didn't pay the contractor the full amount. Say the job costs $8,000 and they didn't pay the whole amount. They only paid $6,000 because they had some kind of argument or whatever, a dispute. So the contractor still is owed some money. So what the contractor can do, he can go down there and file a lien on the property, saying that you still owe money to me. And yeah, you didn't pay them unless they sued you in court, but so you didn't pay them, right? And then when you go to sell the house 10 years later, this lien pops up and it says, hey, you still owe Mr. Contractor $2,000. So who's going to pay that? Well, that seller has to pay that. Or you have to pay that just to buy the property. So if you don't know what you're talking about, if you're going through these dealings and stuff like this pops up, what are you going to do? See, that's a contingency. That's a contingency. Those are things that could pop up when you're doing the due diligence of a property. I mean, this due diligence period stuff, it can go on forever. I mean, there are probably 100 things that can go wrong during the process of buying a property. Now, let's go to the next step, which is due diligence part 2. Due diligence part 2 is the flip side of the research. Now, instead of you researching, doing the research, now the research has been done on you. Well, not on you. Actually, the research has been done on the property also, but not by you, by somebody else. It's been done by the financier, the lender, the bank, the people who are about to give out the money, the loan, the bank, the mortgage broker, them. It's their turn to do some due diligence. They need to make sure that this $380,000 or $400,000 property is actually worth $400,000. Okay? Because they have to protect their interest on this deal also. Because they're handing out money, hoping that you pay them back. Because they make money off of interest or points. What are points? What is interest? I'm telling you, you don't know, you just don't know. But that's another video. But yeah, the bank, the lender, they need to do research also on the property, make sure it's worthy of them handing out a loan to the likes of you. So what do? They make you or the seller hire an appraiser to come out and do an appraisal on the house to validate the value of what the house is worth. And how did they do that? Well, they just come out and look around and make note of what the house is and what it looks like. And there's 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, does it have a roof? What neighborhood is it in? Blah, blah, blah. And then they compare it to other properties that are similar to yours and the price of those houses compared to your price that you're trying to get this house for. It's like you're trying to get a 3 bedroom, 2 bath house and you've agreed to pay $400,000 for this house. But there are about 10 houses in the neighborhood that are very, very similar to yours. And those houses have been valued at $320,000. But now you signed on the dotted line for this house for $400,000. Wait a minute, those houses are valued at $320,000, but you signed on the dotted line for $400,000 for the same house? Yeah, that didn't look right. So something's got to change, buddy. Something's gonna have to amend and be altered on that contract. Either and it can mess the whole deal up. This is another thing that could destroy the contract, destroy the deal. And then you're gonna have to make another amendment. You're gonna either agree to lower the price, or the seller's gonna have to agree to lower the price. And I mean, of course, they don't want to do that. If they lower the price, that means they're not gonna get what they want. They want to cash out and move on so they can buy another piece of property. And you talking about lowering the price $80,000 from $400,000 to $320,000? So that could wreck the deal right there. And yeah, that's due diligence part 2. And the other things that the lender might want to dig deep into during this period. But we'll talk about that in a future video when I go really deep into due diligence. Because this is just I'm just breaking down these steps on a simple level. But let's move on to step 8, shall we? And keep in mind, each step, it's a lot in each step. This is a sample of what's going on in each step. I'm just giving you a brief overview. Like this one right here, step 8, the final walkthrough. Whew. What is the final walkthrough? Well, say you got through all the due diligence. Part 1, part 2, 30 days is up, 45 days is up. And you're getting excited now because it's almost closing time. And it's about 4 or 5 days before the closing date. And you want to do a final walkthrough with your agent. All right. So you signed on the dotted line to buy this piece of property, and you want to, he said you want this nice tapestry that's hanging up on the wall. You want that to go with the property. You want this nice breakfast table, this kitchen table. You want the counters. You want the nice granite countertops to go with the house. You want, not go with it, just to stay with the house. You want all these things to stay with the house when you buy it. You want that nice shed in the backyard. It's a nice shed, probably a $3,000 shed that's in the backyard. You want that to stay with the property. The swimming pool, the hot tub, the screened-in back porch, the deck. You want all these things to stay with the house. The chandelier that's hanging in the foyer. You want that clean, smart refrigerator, stainless steel refrigerator. You want that to stay with the property. They can take that ugly oven, and that garbage disposal, that can go. But you want that nice glass countertop stove, that flat top stove for cooking. Yeah. Oh, and they just bought a $500 microwave. You want that to stay. And you have all that in the contract. And then 3 days before you go to closing, and what do? You go back to that house with that real estate agent, your real estate agent, and y'all go in there to do one quick walkthrough, like a sneak peek. Yeah. And what do? You go in there, you walk in the door, and half of the things aren't there. The refrigerator's missing. Uh-oh. What happened to the hot tub? Uh-oh. Where's my shed? Uh-oh. That's why it's called the final walkthrough. You have to make sure everything's in the house that's supposed to be in the house. That seller didn't snatch it up and take it with them. I tell you one thing, what you can do to bring this more into perspective for you, go and look up the movie called Moving. The movie's called Moving with Richard Pryor. The movie's called Moving with Richard Pryor. And it's a hilarious movie. And it's about him and his family. They're moving from one side of the country to the other. And because of a job, he got transferred. I don't know where he was from, where they moved to. It might have been like somewhere in Indiana. And then he got a new job in Denver somewhere, something like that. So he and his wife went out to the house. They flew out there, stayed at a hotel, and then they rode around with a real estate agent and looked at a house. And they didn't use the agent. They did a for sale by owner. They bought the house just between them and the owner. And the owner was showing them the house. The house was tight. And Richard and his wife, they loved the house. And the owner, they were joking about everything in the house. Oh, yeah, when you buy this house, don't worry about the pool because we're taking it. They were laughing, they're saying stuff like, oh, you like the refrigerator? Yeah, I like it. Oh, don't worry about it because we're taking that too. They kept laughing, and they're like, "Oh no, we're just joking. We say this with all the buyers that come through here." But lo and behold, they signed on a dotted line. Yeah, Rich. They flew back to Indiana, or whatever. They packed up everything, and then they started driving. They drove all across country to get to the house. And when they got to the house, all that stuff that dude said that they were taking, they actually took it. But I can't give you the rest of it. You have to watch the movie. But there's a lot of stuff in there. That movie's crazy. The driver who transported the car, that's a crazy movie, man. But yeah, that's the purpose of the final walkthrough. And to do a deal with the real estate agent too. See. But hey, you can save a few bucks going at your own, but you have to be careful. Now, the last step, we made it to step 9. Is the closing day. What is the closing day? You get your keys. Oh yeah, do you really get your keys? Do you get the keys to the house, to your dream home? Well, it's not as easy as that, because you see, this key giving session might take about an hour. And why does it take so long? It's because there's tons of paperwork. Yeah, you're gonna have to sign this and sign that, sign this and sign that, sign. You have to put your name on the line. They're gonna hand you a pen and you're just gonna start writing. Yeah, right. Sign this and sign that. Now, the 2 important documents in this proceeding is a closing disclosure and a deed. Those are 2 very important documents that you're going to need to sign, and others, of course. It's probably like the stack of papers might be probably 100 pages thick, and you might have to sign about 50 pages. A lot of the other stuff is just reading material, but the closing disclosure and the deed, very important. Of course, the deed, I told you about that. That's the proof of ownership. So you have to agree to have your name put on that deed, and then they're gonna have to go and file that deed down at the courthouse. And it typically takes about 3 days for all this to close out. And then you get your keys once everything is fully registered with the county. And once they get that situated for you, then you get your keys after those 3 days are up. Now, the closing disclosure, very important. This is all about the numbers. How much you're paying for the house, what's your interest rate, how much are your property taxes, how much is your homeowner's insurance policy, how much the real estate agent is going to be making in commissions, and how much the fees are for doing the credit report research on you, the credit check. And I mean, it's just fees after fees after fees, tons of fees, things that you're going to have to pay out of pocket, or it could be added into the loan. And most times it's out of pocket, because people have provided a service and they want to get paid right then. So they're not going to have it rolled into a mortgage. That just doesn't make sense. I mean, you do some work, you want to get paid. So anyway, all these numbers, like pages of pages, about 6 to 7 pages of this stuff. And now what you want to do at this point, you have to wait. Let's go back now. Let's go back. Do you remember when you got pre-approved for this loan? Well, when you got pre-approved for this loan, you got a loan estimate. You received a loan estimate from the bank. And the loan estimate breaks down all the numbers of everything you're supposed to be paying. Okay? And you get that document, and you take that document to the closing. Your real estate agent should tell you all this too. And the loan officer should tell you this too. Take that loan estimate with you and go down there to the closing, and you compare the two, and you analyze and you dig deep. Well, you look at it line for line, make sure this interest rate is the same, the property value, the purchase price, the amount, loan amount, the points, the this, the that, this fee, that fee, the taxes, the this, the transfer taxes, the this. I mean, make sure everything matches up. You have to compare. So that's why it takes about a good hour or so for you to go through all these documents. And they're gonna try to rush you through it. Just sign here, sign here, sign here, sign here. No, 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 no. You sit there, you sit your butt there, kick back, get you a Red Bull, some coffee, some water, tea, whatever you like drinking, and put your glasses on and pull out your magnifying glass and analyze. Because let me tell you, if you got a, let's say 4.25, now let's make it simple. Say if you got a 4% interest rate on your loan estimate from the lender, from the bank at the beginning, they say you're gonna get this $400,000 house at a 4% interest rate. And this is how much you're gonna be paying monthly. You're gonna be paying, say, like $1,500 a month. I'm just throwing these numbers out there. And you're gonna be paying this $1,500 a month for the next 30 years, okay? Month after month after month after month. And then you get to that closing document, that closing table, and then they slap something in front of you, and it shows your loan amount is $400,000, and your interest rate is 4.15. Okay, that's a problem. That's the problem. Like, where'd that 1.15 come from? Where'd that 0.15 come from? Yeah, and that's nothing. 4.15. I let it slide. Just whatever. It's just 0.15. No, 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 no. It's not just 0.15. That 0.15 could mean thousands of dollars extra that you're paying over the next 30 years. That could change that $1,500 that you're supposed to be paying every month. It could change it to $1,600. It can change it to $1,560. It might not seem much, but that's $60 over 12 months. What's that? 6 times 12, that's $720 a year. Just say $700 a year. Make the math easy. And multiply that by 30 years. What's that? 30 times 700, is that 2,100? No, that's $21,000. 300. Well, it's not 300. 360 payments. That's 30 years. So 360 times, just say $700. That's probably like $24,000 extra that you're paying on this loan for interest. Extra you're giving them. So that 0.125 could mean thousands. That's crazy. So that's why I say take that loan estimate with you to the closing table and break it down and go back and forth and make sure things match up perfectly. Because if they don't match up perfectly, you need to shove that paper right back to that loan officer and say, hey, it's not matching up, bro. Somebody trying to slip a little a fudgy wudgy on me, a fiddle diddle, and I'm gonna kick somebody. You know what? Whoever tried to slip this in, because I'm not the one, bruh. And who approved of this? So be careful. Be careful. Oh, and your real estate agent should be on top of this also. If they know what they're doing, this is part of their job. This is their fiduciary duties, part of their fiduciary duties to look out for your interests. So that's the closing day. And then, of course, once all the dust settles, then you finally get your keys. And then you get your keys, then you get to have a party. And hope to be at your party. I want to be invited. Just to see the look on your face when you walk in the door. And ta-da, you're in your house. It has a brand new smell to it and everything. Oh yeah. And I'm gonna make another video about new construction properties. They can build a house in 30 days now, compared to back in the 80s. It took them like 4 months to build a house. Now they can slap a house up in less than a month. But once again, you get what you pay for. You get something super quick. I guarantee you. Well, I can't guarantee it. Um, I can promise, and I can't promise. Um, well, if you open up the hood and pull back the covers, you'll probably see some stuff that was missed. You know, a screw here, or angle not tightened up over here, a piece of a cheap wood installed in the house here. I mean, there's just a lot of things that goes into building a house, and they cut corners, and you'd be surprised. Like a home inspector would go in there and look at that stuff. Like, nah, man, y'all need to use better materials than this. So always get high price stuff. Never try to get bargain basement materials and bargain basement deals. You get what you pay for. Always remember that. This is your house. This is where you're living. Spare no expense. Okay? So now at this point, what do you do now? Well, you've already started the process of getting your mindset right and continuing to watch this entire video. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you kindly. But your next step is to get pre-qualified. Okay? Get yourself pre-qualified. Okay, that's your next step. That's your next step. And always remember that. Remember that. Always remember this. Just because you're living in an apartment and you think you can't buy a house, there's a will. Where there's a will, there's a way. If you're bringing in some money, you have a decent job, making $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year. You don't live in a super expensive city like LA or New York or Miami. You can get a loan. You can get a mortgage loan in the $300,000, $400,000 range. And I'm not telling you this is guaranteed, but that's typically the range. You know, if you're making that kind of money, bringing that kind of money in a month, you could qualify for that kind of mortgage, and your monthly payment could be roughly $1,400, $1,500, around that range. It all depends. Oh, do yourself this favor. Do this. Quick tip. You can go to I don't know the name of the website, but just go Google amortization table online. Amortization table. Amortization mortgage calculator. Amortization mortgage calculator. And you can just put in the numbers right there. Like if you want to spend $1,700 a month from your rent, you want to make that your mortgage payment, you can just kind of like put in $300,000, say at 4% interest rate, and hit enter, and it'll tell you how much your monthly payment would be. And just play with the numbers. See, if your credit is not good, you might get a higher interest rate, like 6% or something like that, for a $350,000 loan. Your monthly payment will be a little higher. Just play around with the numbers. Yeah, go to Google amortization mortgage calculator, and just have fun with it. So after you get pre-qualified, what's next after that? Well, that's the next step, to get pre-qualified. So, and if you need any help in any city in this country, in the United States, well, let me back up. I'm a real estate agent here in Tampa, Florida. And definitely, if you're living in Tupelo, Mississippi, I definitely cannot show you properties in Tupelo, Mississippi. But guess what? There are real estate agents all over this country that can help you. And I have friends all over this country that can help you. Okay? And they're all vetted. They're all friendly. They all work diligently. They work hard for all people who come through my portal looking to buy a house. So we can help you. All you have to do is when you fill out the buyer criteria, I can match you up with somebody that I know personally that I've talked to. Me and my team, we vetted them out. Um, they can definitely help you out, and they have the same mindset that we do. We're here to help. We're helpers. That's what we do. You have a problem, we're here to help. So if you feel the need that you want to come through my portal, you can go and click on the website and get the process started that way to get out of that bad situation that you might be in. Not saying you're in a bad situation, but paying sky high rent is a bad situation. As I talked about this in a prior video, because I'm in Tampa, Florida right now, and it's 2024. About 12, 13 years ago when I was living in Atlanta, I stayed in Atlanta about 10 years, and I moved about 5 times to different apartments, and I stayed in pretty decent places, not upscale, but it was like pretty good places. And no matter where I stayed, my rent was never over $1,000. I think the most I spent was like $920 a month for rent, and I stayed in some nice areas. And now, 2024, rent is sky high. Whew, that same apartment that I was paying $920 for I think it's going for like $1,800 right now for 1 bedroom. Just crazy. So the times have changed, the market has changed. But I digress. So if you're sick and tired of paying that sky high rent, just come on through and we can help you out. All right? Okay. And the best of luck to you. And I will see you on the next video. Oh, and